Hi, Julie Jules Cruise Companion. Today I'm going to go over some more overrated pieces of advice that I see online. One of the most overrated pieces of advice that has about a 50-50 is accepting an upgrade. Sometimes when you are booking a cruise, you are choosing the cabin yourself, you know the location, you know what it's going to be, a window or an obstructed view or a balcony. You have a little bit of control. But if you accept an upgrade, you are not necessarily going to get the same perks that you were going to get when you had the initial booking. And with that upgrade, it might be moving to a different floor that may be louder, having a public space up above, like a pool or a nightclub, or a restaurant underneath, where at different times of the day it may be very noisy. The reason that some of those cabins are not initially chosen by people is because they are not in the best location, even though they may have a balcony or a better view or something of that nature. An upgrade is not always going to be a good thing, and I think it can be sometimes overrated. I think having a balcony sometimes is overrated. On a very long cruise or a longer cruise of greater than 7 to 10 days, yes, a balcony is going to be a really great idea. You will have your own personal space that you can retreat to and have a serene, hopefully, experience on your balcony, except for that one occasion when I was directly under the smokers area and there was smoke ash on my balcony the entire cruise. That was really uncomfortable. But on a shorter cruise, on a 2-night, 3-night, 4-night, 5-night cruise, sometimes a balcony is not going to be worth the money. And so you can spend your money in other places. Sometimes a balcony is an overrated suggestion. I think specialty dining is hyped and overrated because if you do not have an anniversary or something, a special occasion that you are wanting to celebrate, spending money over and above the regular cruise fare, the food that's included in the cruise price, is not necessarily something that you need to spend your money on. And I suspect that specialty dining is an overrated expense that most people don't need to spend. I suspect that cruise hot tubs are a little overrated. I just see them as a biological soup. Everybody is in there with their body fluids and their sunscreen and their sweaty bodies, and the children are in the hot tubs when the signage often says not to have children in the hot tubs. I am not a super fan of hot tubs. Not that I've had any bad experiences. It's just the principle of a lot of bacteria simmering in a medium temperature, 32 degrees, 34 degrees or something. I just personally think hot tubs are overrated. Now, this overrated idea is more for America, but the concept is of the private island. I sometimes think that the private islands for cruise lines is overrated for a couple of different reasons. And that is, sometimes there's an additional fare or fee for having an exclusive cabana or something of that nature, or you're hiring the paddle boats or the jet skis in a private island. And it was all just money nickel and dimed for that company. Where if you had a cruise stop that went to a general port and you were spending that money on jet skiing or private cabanas in a resort nearby, you're actually distributing your tourist dollar to more people in different parts of the world, and as opposed to just giving money to the cruise company. So I sometimes feel, even though I've only been to a few private islands, and they were absolutely beautiful, I do give credit for that, but I do think private islands are overrated. I think cruise company transfers to and from the airport are overrated for several different reasons. And I have utilised them on some occasions where it has worked and other occasions where it hasn't worked. Why I think it's overrated is they often wait for several different flights, for example, to come in so that they have enough people on the bus to transfer them to the port. And that means that you are waiting around longer than you potentially need to. Where if you had a private transfer, you locate that private transfer, you get into the minibus or the shuttle, and you go transferring straight to the cruise port. One of the occasions when I had a transfer in Rome from the boat to the airport, the actual flight was reasonable, like 2:30 in the afternoon, and it had an excursion where you went to town, you went to Rome, you went to the Vatican, and then you were guaranteed to get to the airport by 1 o'clock. So I had a really good window to be able to get to my flight on time to get to Macedonia. But when we got to the Vatican, the people with high religious beliefs decided that they were going to take over this whole excursion because their flight wasn't until 9 o'clock at night, and they were going to dawdle and get extra rosaries, and they were going to be talking to some nuns that were just wandering around St. Paul's. They would have had to have been the rudest people known to mankind, because they had their own agenda and they did not care what was happening with the rest of the bus. Yes, often on excursions you will have a person who is always late, and you know, they become that person. But on this particular occasion, I realised that something was happening pretty early, and I kept saying to the guide, you know, I'm quite happy to get a taxi transfer from here. They are really happy that you got me to this point. That's really great. I'm happy to just pay over and above and not worry about the rest of the transfer. No, 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 says Alexandra. It is going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Actually, Alexander, it wasn't okay. I literally, with the traffic, once we all did get on board, once these people had stopped their religious fervour, got to the airport, I literally got to the check-in, got through the security and walked straight onto the plane. It was literally, if there was one thing that would have interfered with that, like, you know, a computer being down or security being slow or whatever, I internalized it all. I didn't, you know, somebody disadvantaged me, so I went through the motions on this occasion, and I ended up quite literally stressed beyond belief, getting my check-in, going through security and walking straight onto the plane. So doing a transfer with the cruise company is not always the best thing, and I think it can be overrated. Another place that I think is a bit overrated on a cruise ship is a spa. The spa is a third-party provider. Their prices are often higher than if they were on land. They do have a commission-based price point or business model, and they try to upsell you. There is already an 18% gratuity on the price that you are being charged, and often people don't realise that and pay over and above an additional tip. So I think, even though one of my favourite people in the world is a masseuse on a cruise ship, I personally think that the spa on a cruise is overrated, especially when they're starting to do the acupuncture, the teeth whitening and the foot analysis, all things that you would never do when you were on land, so why would you be doing it on sea? And they don't guarantee, anyway, blah, blah, blah. I don't like those things. I think they're overrated. You make up your own mind. Another thing that I think is overrated is the shopping lectures that cruise lines give, and they tell you about Diamonds International and Pandora and Guess and all the places that they actually have a contract with and is a commission-based sale. So the more you purchase in those shops, the more the cruise line gets a cut of the sale. So I do not like the incentive structure, which is, you know, go along the little shopping trail and get a free trinket from each, or a free gift, which is often a little pendant or something of that nature. I got sucked into that when I was first travelling, first cruising, especially, you know, in the Bahamas or the Caribbean and that type of thing. But once I became more familiar with the method of the upselling and the commission-based trading, I just chose to go to mum and pop stores and making sure that I was trying to buy something that was local, especially if it was hand carved, for example, in the Bahamas in the straw market, just getting something that was local rather than something that was mass produced that was going to support a multinational corporation. That is just what I believe in relation to ethical tourism and how I wish to spend my money. I have uploaded a lot of vlogs about art auctions, and I think art auctions are overrated. One, as a general consumer, I do not know who the artists are. Yes, some of the paintings do give me giclées, reproductions. They do give me a little bit of a fun feeling with the naive art, maybe the splashy colours and the glitter and the three-dimensional stuff. It's all really quite, cute on a cruise ship, but is it going to be the right product for you in your own home? When you are making the decor and designing your own home, you're going to be designing it around your own personal likes and dislikes, the type of style that you have in your own home, farmhouse, beachy, log cabin feel, whatever you have in your own home, you will be decorating the decor to suit that. Modern, I don't think that spending additional money on a piece of art on a cruise ship where you've been consuming alcohol, where they plied you with alcohol and they've actually used some pretty sophisticated psychological strategies on you, which is FOMO, fear of missing out, and plying you against other people by having it as an auction, and then there's an emotion in relation to being in an auction. It's all from a psychological upselling perspective to try and part you from your money. So I'm just giving you the heads up. You do you, boo. If you want to spend $2,000 or $3,000 on a piece of art that you're never going to look at again, you go right for it. I'm just saying that art auctions on cruise ships is overrated. And my final point for the sections that are overrated, which is something that I go against all the time, but I just want to give you the heads up, and that is gambling. Gambling on a cruise ship where the odds are so bad compared to that on land is overrated. The benefits of being in a casino and spending money in a casino is that you will be given other additional options for further cruises, such as 15 free drinks when you're playing actively in the slots or on the tables, which is what I'm doing at the moment. So on one hand, I will say to you, going to a casino on a cruise ship is overrated. And then the other part of me says, shh, do it within the limit of the money that you're willing to lose. And for me, that's $100 for each cruise. I budget, and I'm just been quite lucky that this $100 for this 10-day cruise. Today is the last sea day, so tomorrow I get off. My $100 has actually lasted me the entire time. I got it up to about 200 at one point, so through the course of today I'm actually going to run that 100 down and I will be at a loss of 100, but I would have consumed enough beverage from the casino, over $400 or $500 worth of drinks, whether it was a $12 glass of wine or a $16 cocktail. I would have utilised that $100 well spent over and over and over. Gamble responsibly. Only gamble the amount of money that you're willing to lose. Don't gamble more when you have consumed alcohol because your inhibitions are down. Absolutely try not to get involved with everybody else that is winning and you're losing and you think you're going to be the next winner because you're sitting at the machine next door. It's all just an emotional roller coaster. I think gambling on a cruise ship is overrated, and so's the bingo, but I have won a small jackpot at the bingo, so I can't really say anything about that either. But the only time I do go to bingo, and I'm a bad bingo person, is the last day, which sometimes has that bigger jackpot that has to go off within a small amount of calls, like 45 calls. But once again, gamble responsibly. Don't gamble to win, because you will be the biggest loser known to mankind, because the only people that win at gambling is the house. Okay, there are a few things that I think are overrated. Some bits I'm an epic fail on, other bits I'm pretty strict on. Give and take. You do you, boo. Cruising is your own lifestyle, your own holiday choice. Like cruising, you just make it your own. This is Julie Jules, Cruise Companion, saying stay safe, everybody, and happy travels.